we want to talk about the conference tournament, doing our week in review this week. We lost by 2 points to Hofstra. It was a tough team battle. We had a lot of opportunities to win, and in the end, we didn't accomplish our goal this weekend. We had the opportunities, like I said, but lost the matches we thought we could have won, and didn't quite get it done. We ended up with 4 outright qualifiers, and probably 2 guys that are on the bubble of getting wild cards.
Final team score was 80.5, Hofstra 78.5 for Binghamton, so we were right there. It was a 3-team race all the way to the finals, and Binghamton and Hofstra really pulled away from Old Dominion at the end. And like Frank said, there's a lot of things we could have done differently to win the team title. That didn't happen, but we had 4 or 5 guys that wrestled really, really well. Then we had a couple others wrestle okay and make a couple stupid mental errors. And that was the team tournament. But it's time to move on to nationals and get the guys ready over the next 2 weeks.
So starting off 125, we had a bad weekend there. Derek Stilley did not wrestle well. He took 2 losses and didn't place in the conference tournament. Both guys he lost to, he'd beaten this season, and he was more incapable of beating. And, didn't have a good weekend.
Yeah. He's definitely wrestled better, and he's got to improve on some things for next year. And if he does that, he's definitely good enough to go to nationals and beat some of the top guys. Well, we got a lot to work on. Going to 133, Patrick Hunter really seemed to turn the corner. It's been an up and down year for him. But first round he had Hofstra's Jamie Franco. He lost in overtime. There was a little bit of controversy there.
Watch it on Flow.
He might have scored a takedown at the end of the 3rd period, and he probably had a takedown in overtime. It didn't happen, but he came.
And a pin.
He came back strong and took 3rd and was really close to wrestling for true second if Jamie Franco won in the finals, which he lost a close match in the finals.
In all seriousness, he bounced back. He had a tough first round loss. He did lose in overtime, and came back. He beat Sante from Boston pretty easily, who was ranked in the top 15 or so in the country, who was top 12 national tournament 2 years ago, and he showed that he's capable of beating anybody. I think his best wrestling he did in the consolations this weekend that he's had all year. I think he really showed that next year's going to be a huge year for him, and he's going to be a bright spot in the lineup next year. He showed a lot of heart, a lot of guts, and he forced the guys to wrestle where he's good for the first time this year in those last 2 or 3 matches he had, and he did a great job, and I was actually rooting for Franco. No offense, Festeo, but I was rooting for Franco in the finals so we could get in for true second. I really believe that if he would have had another match that day, pretty much whoever he would have wrestled, he would have beat. So I was sad to see him not be able to make it to the tournament.
And in the consolation finals, he beat Sante, who had beat him earlier this year, and Morse from Ryder. So he beat 2 kids that had previous wins against him. And he really just stepped up his game this weekend, and there's a lot to look forward to for next year. Moving on to 141.
Joe Benaldi's true freshman. Any true freshmen that have their ups and downs. And Joe had a very solid year, and I think he's upset with himself and whatnot right now. But, at some point, the college season's 6 months long or 12 months long, however you want to look at it. And the high school season's 3, and he's a 3-sport athlete, and he's gonna have ups and downs, and it was a down weekend for him. He lost. He won his first match against.
Boston.
Against
Scott.
Scott from Boston. He did a nice job there. He controlled the pace of the match, and he got the first takedown and recovered to win. And then he lost his next match to Vaith from Hofstra, who had a great tournament, and I believe ended up winning it.
He was a champ.
And, wrestled tough and just came out a little short on that match. And then his next match, he had Fava of Ryder. And
he was flat, wrestled flat.
Had a not a good match, but Joe should keep his head up. He's gonna have a bright future for us here, and watch for him probably to move up next year and fill out a little bit this summer and get on the Jason Borshoff weightlifting plan and move up to 149.
Yeah. But he's got a bright future. We're really looking forward to what he's capable of over the next 3 to 4 years. Going to 149. Donnie Vinson was the outstanding wrestler of the tournament. Great tournament. First round match against Boston. He pinned the kid in, I think, a minute and 19 seconds. Then in the semis, he had Brumley from Old Dominion, who's a tough wrestler to score a lot of points on. He was beating him, I think, 12-0 in the dual meet, but ended up winning by 10 a couple weeks ago. And this weekend, he took it to a whole nother level, and he ended up teching him 15-0 in the first period, which that's an extremely impressive feat over a top 25 guy. Then in the finals, he had Accordino from Hofstra, who he had wrestled in dual meet.
Another top 20 guy.
Another top 20 guy. Very good wrestler, and Donnie just handled him. Won by 12-3, I think.
Major decision.
Yeah, and he was just unstoppable this weekend. So hopefully he'll keep that going one more week, take it into nationals, and we'll come home with our first All-American trophy of the tournament.
Donnie did a great job, and all year, this year, and last year, he's kind of come up a little short when it came to a big tournament. Like CAA's last year, he lost in the finals when he had already beaten the guy, and this and that. And so, he got the monkey off his back a little bit and had that big breakthrough where he won a big tournament, and couldn't be more happy for him. And he definitely deserved the outstanding wrestler as he scored bonus all the way through. But not to be outdone, Justin Lister at 157 had a very good tournament as well. In the finals, he pinned John Nicholson, who's a top 20 guy, in less than a minute, I believe.
55 seconds.
And Nicholson's very tough. Like I said, he's in the top 20. And he had an unbelievable ovation. I got goosebumps from the applause and the loudness of the crowd for his last ever match here at BU in the on campus. So it was exciting to get those two right in a row. And then in the semis, he dominated Tyler Banks of Hofstra. And in the first round, I believe he also pinned his opponent, Bethea from Jordan Mason, who's a very solid wrestler. So he had a great tournament.
And Justin literally put Binghamton Wrestling on the map, so it was a great way for him to finish his career here. He got a pin in his final dual meet, and he got a pin in his tournament, championship, the CAA Championships in the Event Center. So we couldn't be happier for him. I know he's really looking forward to next weekend in St. Louis and getting back on the podium, dreaming about that national title.